Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Asaph
Oh.
Cafe. I am your host, Asaph.
Did you want one?
I'll take some of that. And on my left, we have affectionately our aging rocker Emmett, and then our special guest Solomon, who's joining us in the cafe today.
Howdy there, Magnanimous here.
So, and through the magic of green screen technology, we're on the set of Inspector Gadget. So we'll be having fun talking about Inspector Gadget and James Bond and
a few other things, yeah, whatever.
A few other fun topics there. You want to start us off, Emmett?
Well, after I I just got the last of the Pepsi because I wanted to use up the stuff that I had used.
That's fine.
Skull to a good episode, brothers.
Yep. Yep.
Go ahead.
Clink. And just gotta get you one there.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Heavenly Father, bless our time together in the secret hearing and everything. Bless our time together in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm in agreement with that. And Solomon, I'm going to focus more on you because you're the special guest on today's cafe, and just make yourself at home. Now, before we start, let me tell you the premise of this show. I started this show 5 years ago.
Oh, wait, do we need that other door closed?
No.
Okay.
I started this 5 years ago, and when I first started this cafe, it was nothing but just those two brick walls right there and a table in the middle. That's how I got started.
Right.
And about a year or two later, we started putting ourselves on the backdrop of movies and things like.
Sure.
In fact, Em and I, we even put ourselves on the set of a James Bond movie once.
The VGA.
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, it was Goldfinger. The episode Goldfinger.
Nice.
That was a very good
just
movie.
television shows like I Dream of Jeannie and Star Trek. You know, we put ourselves on the bridge of the Enterprise and stuff like that. And so today, it's Inspector Gadget, which was a fun cartoon of the 90s, I believe it was, 80s or 90s. And they made a movie out of the cartoon, which was quite good.
Didn't even know they did that.
Yeah. And
You were saying it was Matthew Broderick, right?
yeah,
in
Matthew Broderick was
real
the
life,
actor
not the
that played-
cartoon.
Yeah, the real life. There was a real life movie called Inspector Gadget.
And that's the same fella from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's
and
the same actor.
And I hated that movie.
150 other Hollywood films.
Yeah,
Very famous.
Dabney Coleman was the police chief in the film. So it had a pretty top cast in this movie. It was pretty impressive because it kept in with the how can I put it?
Spirit of the cartoon and so forth.
Yeah, but it was well done. And they even had Dr. Claw. I can't remember the actor that
What's
played
the
him.
cat's name now?
The cat's name?
Can't remember
I
that.
can't think of the cat's name.
The dog's name is Brain. I was just thinking my head's like right below the dog of the brain. That was interesting.
We'll talk about the
Synchronicity.
movie for a second. In the movie version, what happened was, before Inspector Gadget became Inspector Gadget, he was just a traffic cop. You know, an ordinary human, no powers, no nothing. And he gets into an accident. I think he gets run over by a car or something like that, or when he was looking out for children, trying to save kids. So while he's in the hospital, it's kind of like the $6 Million Man. You know how they did the amputations? Did you ever see the movie, $6 Million Man?
I didn't, but I know the premise of it though.
Yeah, well, with the $6 Million Man, Colonel Austin they were testing a flight. You know, they had like a B-52 bomber up in the air, and they had a tiny little plane underneath.
Okay.
And when the plane came apart like that, they were doing a little test, and the plane crashed on the series, and so he lost his right eye and his two legs.
Are we talking about Inspector Gadget?
No,
We-
I'm sure how it's gonna tie in.
He's just saying because it's a side movie that's similar. So
There's
the guy was
similarities to the
injured.
$6 Million Man, and the $6 Million Man, that's based on a true story.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
And then they use cyber
because-
technology for him? or something?
No. The crash, the actual crash, that actually happened to someone in real life.
Wow.
That crash. And so from that crash, they created the series, The $6 Million Man. Now, there's no bionics.
The
in
concept.
there. Yeah, just
The guy
idea.
lived though. The fellow
Yeah,
lived.
the guy survived the
Wow.
actual crash. I did a story on the guy, the pilot. He was a real pilot. But anyway, you may not be able to turn that on while we're taping because.
I was gonna
for
Google the
copyright
name of
issues.
that fella. If it's alright, I don't need to though.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that.
So Asaph, I was gonna ask, Is there a way to take the backdrop back so people can see what green
They
use
can see
for the screen?
what it is here is what they're going to see. They're not going to see the green. They're going to see us in front of these images here.
Okay.
I'll show it to you when we finish taping. I'll show you what it's going to look like for real.
I understand.
Screen, on this screen, this is just a guide.
Oh, I understand. I was just saying.
But the real thing is, and when I'll take it back. You'll see the real thing back there. What we're going to look like.
Right,
and I'm going to
right,
make you a copy of this as soon as we're done.
That's awesome.
But let me finish this point because this is a good point. There was an actual crash in real life when they were doing a test for the armed forces, and the pilot that actually crashed survived.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this was back in the 70s for real, I believe, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So from that real life crash, they used that crash to have the start of the $6 Million Man, where they had his character, Colonel Austin, crash based on the real crash. But the only difference is that since it was science fiction, they had the bionic parts like the bionic arm, bionic eye, and the bionic arms, and the legs and stuff. And so that's where they created that. But where I'm going with this story is it's very similar to the movie The Inspector Gadget, because Gadget gets injured and he loses his parts, like his legs and stuff like that, because it was a severe crash.
Right.
So what they did was in the film, similar to the $6 Million Man, while he was unconscious, they gave him these gadget parts.
Right.
Without him knowing it, because he was unconscious. So he had to learn how to use those gadget parts, just like the $6 Million Man had to learn how to use his parts.
Sure.
And of course, with the $6 Million Man,
oh, so when he first started, he all like
when he first started, he had to learn how to walk.
And all of a sudden, stuff's just going crazy.
Yeah, and he rejected his bionic parts at first. He didn't want to have the stuff on his body.
Knocking stuff over and so forth.
Yeah, he just wanted to take the arm off, and they were trying to tell him that he's going to have to learn to adapt to that.
Right.
And then he realizes that he gets his powers, the $6 Million Man. And then he goes to work for the OSI agency, and he catches bad guys and so on.
Nice.
And it's the same thing with Inspector Gadget, because when he wakes up and he finds out he doesn't have his physical parts anymore, they had to program him to accept it. And of course, in the movie, when he learns how to use his powers and stuff like that, he can fly, and he can do all these things like James Bond in a sense in the film. You have to see the film. Now, I'm not talking about the cartoon, I'm talking about the movie. And the movie was pretty much based on the cartoon. And so after he learns his parts like the Bionic Man does, he goes back to work for the police department instead of being a traffic cop, and he ends up saving the whole world. Yeah. And Dr. Claw, how he becomes Dr. Claw, he gets injured and his hand gets smashed.
I'll leave a backstory on Dr. Claw too?
Yeah, they did a story on Dr. Claw in the movie, how he becomes Dr. Claw.
That's awesome.
And his hand gets injured, so just like the cartoon, he has that claw, and he decides he wants to do bad things in the movie, just like the cartoon.
So instead of using it for good, then
he uses it for bad. And so then Inspector Gadget has to fight against him to protect humanity and all of that. And so when they're dealing with all that, they have all the special effects, like him being able to fly in the air and his being able to...
Copter comes out of his head, right?
Yeah, all that stuff, they brought all that into the movie version, and it looks real.
Oh, I was going to say, they make it believable. Like, I mean, because it would have to be
like
really...
When he's flying through the air, like
it'd be intricate. It'd be intricate, like,
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I want to see
it. And they had the same theme music, just modernized,
Right, with a little up.
Yeah.
Little up.
Yeah. I must say, I didn't like the $6 Million Man, and I did not like Inspector Gadget.
Really?
I did not.
You saw the film?
You didn't like the
$6 Million bored me. I know the kids at school thought this is cool. $6 Million Bionic Man. I thought it was not science fiction enough. They weren't in outer space. They didn't fire lasers. They didn't fight robots.
Well,
Same with Inspector Gadget.
It doesn't always have to be outer space.
To me, it has to be. To me, it has to be. Inspector Gadget never never fired a laser gun against a giant robot. He was just a silly Inspector Gadget.
But you're judging it by the cartoon. The movie
And you
was
saw
totally
the actual
different.
movie, Emmett?
No, I didn't even know there was a movie.
Well, you can't say that if you haven't seen it.
I didn't even know.
You got to see the movie. The movie has some tremendous special effects in it, just like
So
James Bond.
it's very violent and very gritty.
It's got
Emmett,
some
you're
violent
cracking
moments.
me up, buddy.
It's got some violent moments, but they still have it where you can watch it with your grandchildren and your children.
Sure.
It's got some grit in it.
I like comic relief.
Yeah,
You know?
but it sounds like, because like, I love the James Bond movies, but I would not show, if I were babysitting a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, I would not let them see the James Bond movies. They're too young.
Well, you know,
and even I think...
the original James Bond movies were more tame compared to the new ones. I grant you
Sure.
that.
Really?
You know?
I haven't
yeah.
seen the newest ones from the 2000s. I thought some of them were kind of dull, but
Let's think
like
about
from
Goldeneye.
Russia... Russia with
okay,
Love, and some of them were very risque. I would have cut out the
But
risque
that's tame,
stuff.
that's tame though compared to some of
I'd
the newer
say-
Bonds now, like the Skyfall Bond. Have you seen the Skyfall Bond?
I have
I
not.
don't know. Is
No,
that
I've
the,
not
is that
seen
the
it.
one where the
It's
guy
older, the
can't
older-
feel pain?
No, that's the older Bond character. You know, James Bond is older.
Okay, so Pierce Brosnan, the next guy.
Oh, this is way past Brosnan and all the rest of those
I
characters.
don't even know if I've even seen any of this.
It's,
Nor have I.
it's the English actor. I can't think of his
The last
name,
one I saw in the new one was the Pierce Brosnan one where he fights the guy who got the thing in his head and so he couldn't feel pain.
No, this is even more
Way past it, huh?
advanced, way past all that. They got a new actor playing.
One of the
Bond now.
allures to that to Bond is the gadgets. It was sad when Q died.
Well, they have a whole lot more gadgets on this Skyfall
cool.
one
That's
here.
cool.
And what's interesting about this latest Bond, it portrays James Bond as an older person fighting younger guys that are more computer tech.
That's cool.
So that
I like
makes
that.
his job more harder.
Right? He's like,
because he's physically older.
right.
He doesn't
That's
fight,
awesome.
He
I
doesn't
love that.
fight as well as he did when he was younger,
What is
and that gives it a believability. You know,
That's
he's an
interesting.
older physically. He's a physically older Bond, and he's fighting younger guys that are high tech.
I love it.
You know,
I wanna see
with
it
the
now that you said
computer
it. Oh, yeah.
thing and all of that, and so that gives it a little credibility because you got a middle-aged Bond
Yeah.
now taking on younger guys that are smarter,
And that's the
stronger,
Skyfall?
faster. I think it's called Skyfall is the name of the series.
Yeah, that's not more my
Stuff like
speed
that.
because it's a lot greater. Like I said, I just think they could have taken out all the sensual stuff out of the old James Bond movies, you know, and that kind of thing. But I loved its grittiness. It was serious. It wasn't anything da 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 dun da dun dun da dun. Let's have the dog solve the crime. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah,
it was
but
serious.
See, getting to Inspector Gadget the movie, it's pretty much like.
Oh, that's good. You know.
It's. I was really impressed with
That's
it.
good.
Myself when I saw it. And of course, when you have the cartoon, you're doing it with children.
Yeah.
Children's imagination. So there's going to be a degree of silliness as far as the cartoon. But if you pay attention to the cartoon, it's no different than some of those other cartoons that they had in the past.
Well,
you know?
yeah, but like even
But this
like
one is better. It's more fun if you're a kid and you can see with your imagination some of the things that the cartoon does.
I guess so, but like even He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which I loved, was silly in some parts, but it was very serious, and a lot of fundamentals were against it. I'm a Catholic. I loved it. You know, He-Man, you know, fighting, you know, Skeletor and that kind of thing. But that was more serious. It wasn't. There wasn't a dog. Well, there was a funny cat, you know, Cringer, who was always afraid to turn into Battle Cat, but Battle Cat became real serious.
It was the flying little guy, and Cringer
yes.
was the comedy.
Well, kind of, but it was
than
more
most.
serious than just a dog trying to. It's hard to explain. You know,
Okay.
a small dog trying to find. And in some ways, that kind of comic relief kind of almost, for me, ruins it. Like, I did not like Snarf on the Thundercats. The Thundercats I loved.
His voice was a little bit too.
Oh, his voice was horrible. The Thundercats was a cartoon, which I loved, about a race of humanoid-style cats on a planet called Thundera, which finally got destroyed or exploded or something. They had to go to New Earth or New Thundera and build, you know, a castle or build a fortress, but they didn't know that an evil mummy-type sorcerer lived in a black pyramid who wanted to destroy the Thundercats and rule New Thundera. Then there was another race, beautifully animated, of mutants. And
I guess I don't know anything about
and
that.
they
I
just
haven't
wanted
seen
to
it.
also destroy and kill the Thundercats because they wanted to rule Third Earth. Very, very serious. Snarf was this creature, kind of a furry cat-like creature from the planet of Snarfs. And he wanted, Snarf, I really like that. Mom, I could have taken out my Snarf, that just killed it. You
I
made
guess,
me mad.
I guess we don't know though.
Gentlemen, okay, so I don't remember how many years back, but it was the year that Howl's Castle came out. That year, an animated picture actually won Film of the Year of all films. And it wasn't Howl's Castle, it was that same year that Howl's came out.
Never heard of it.
And it was amazing. As all
I still love the Thundercats. I've got the first season on DVD and many episodes on videotape when my VCR was working, but it would have been even better without the comic relief of Snarf or some. Sometimes when you bring comic relief into something serious, I think it ruins it. It should be serious.
It would be hard to comment on that because I haven't seen it. Though,
yeah, he hasn't seen it. So let's move on to one that we've all seen. We should try to do that. What do we think of?
Getting back to the Bond characters, I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit more. The Bond characters, the Inspector Gadget, the movie, and the $6 Million Man. They were, even though they weren't in outer space necessarily, they had a lot of gadgetry in those series, which was pretty impressive.
You mean the Bond series or Inspector Gadget?
All of them. All of them.
There was a little bit in outer space, like say.
Well, the $6 Million Man, they tackled space a little bit because he was an astronaut. Colonel Austin was an astronaut.
You only live twice.
Yeah,
Sean Connery. There was this. They had shuttles, and then there was this bigger rocket eating the shuttles, and
yeah.
But not. It wasn't all. It was mostly based on Earth. Good point, Asaph.
But getting back
Still
to the
good,
Bond
though.
series, you got to remember, Bond came out in the early 60s. They didn't have the technology at that time.
But it was wonderful,
that we have today. But it was quite good for its time.
It was.
Sean Connery was the first. Dr. No was the first one that they made.
No. Originally, I think Goldfinger was supposed to be the first one originally.
And that was an excellent one.
But it turned out that it was Dr. No. They had some little glitches, I guess is the way to describe it, when they were first creating the James Bond movie series, and Dr. No wound up being the first one.
And Dr. No was the protagonist villain of that movie, of course.
And it had a good cast because Jack Lord was in that too.
Which one? Which person's Jack Lord?
Jack Lord was that tall guy that was testing Bond. At the beginning when they. Remember that scene when they were going to attack him?
What, coming from the airport?
Yeah, when he first shows up.
He's his ally from the U.S., right?
Yeah, Jack Lord's character is really a good guy, but they were testing Bond when they were holding him like this, and that one guy came with
Felix
a knife.
Leiter, that's his name, I think.
Yeah, and so then Bond kicks the knife out the guy's hand, and he flips the guy from behind him and everything.
He's a white guy, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, the real tall, lean,
Felix Leiter.
Fella, yeah.
I've listened to the these audiobooks too over time.
Well, he went on to become Garrett in the Hawaii Five-0 series.
Right.
I never watched Hawaii Five-0. I'm not familiar with that at all. I never watched it.
It was a cop show, but it was based in Honolulu.
You guys ever watch Garfield?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved the old Garfield cartoons.
I used to read the
but
cartoons.
That was funny.
Yeah, I got a movie.
It was strictly funny, and that was hilarious.
I saw the movie.
I didn't see the movie.
There's like a rich cat, virtually, Emmett. There's like the one that I saw. There's a rich cat that looks just like Garfield. And then virtually they get switched places or something, and I don't remember what the whatever the strain is on the plot, But right here I have in whatever dates paper this is, which was February 6th. It's really old. I found it randomly, but it's Garfield, and it says, "I'm telling you, it will never catch on. It's a mouse. Looks like it's chewing something that's blowing a bubble, and it says cheese-flavored gum."
Yeah.
Cheese-flavored gum?
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Sounds horrible. I hate bubble
I'm being a
gum.
wise guy when I say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. But anyway, getting back to Garfield, let me see your comment.
No, that was funny. I love
Garfield.
Garfield.
Can you put it up to the...
But that was pure comedy. I love comedies. Pure comedies if they're funny.
But to finish the sci-fi part of everything, I don't think you should make a hasty judgment on that Inspector Gadget movie till you see it.
Well, you can't make
know,
a hasty judgment on it if you don't watch it.
You can't base it on the cartoon. That the cartoon is just a cartoon. You know, it's like any of those cartoons when they do the movie versions, they're quite good. You know.
So in other words, it was like that awful, and I didn't like the Batman series of the 60s with Adam West. I thought that was just too cheesy, too much comic relief, but I loved the movies in 1989, Batman.
Well, you're probably the
and
only
Sure.
one that doesn't like the Batman series.
I really love it.
I thought it was just too
But
cheesy.
I know
I tried to get into it.
I could see how you wouldn't like it, but it's just so goofy that
That's
it's
the
awesome.
problem.
That's what I think.
But
that-
that time period, they had to start somewhere. They didn't have the technology back in that.
Well, it wasn't that
time
they could have been
period.
more
Holy septic tanks, Batman.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
you're going-
when they would show the little bubbles as they would punch
Yeah,
and
when
kick.
they punch and have the words up.
I mean,
thought
that was hilarious. Wow, and the little
that's
special
what
effects.
was
made it-
stupid. I
That's
thought-
what made it fun. Though,
I know,
when
I
they were
liked it, but
introducing-
I never laughed.
But that's a love and hate. I can see how
Yeah.
that could go two ways. It'd be like, this is
Yeah.
really ridiculous.
And
or
I tried to
you would
get
love
into
or
it.
you
I
would not
tried
like
to
it.
watch episodes
Well, I guess
of it,
maybe
and
I'm just partial to that series too. It was fun. It was just fun, a fun
Yeah.
series.
I
you
didn't-
But I
know?
love the movies that came out for like Batman. I did not like Batman Returns with the Penguin because I thought it went not really too dark, but all of these characters had psychological issues, and that's all they brought out. The Penguin used to be a gangster type from the mob or something like this. It should have kept to that, but I love the other ones like Batman
Well, this is
Forever and
interesting
Batman and
to
Robin
agree to
because they were
disagree
so
on things, you know,
grim,
and that's
not
pretty
grim,
cool,
but dark.
you know?
No,
and
that is good. That is good.
All right,
Agreeing
hold
to
on.
disagree can get us
Before
to
we
the next
finish our
thing.
debate, we'll get back in our debate. I want to ask a few questions for the TV audience
Please.
about you. Are you from?
I'm from Missoula. Yeah, I'm a local. That's what I like to say.
Okay.
And I was born in East Missoula actually, and then moved to
Alright.
Missoula.
Okay.
I went to Roosevelt. That I was the last. I was the second to last or the last person to go K through 5 there, and then it turned
Yeah.
into I can't remember the name, but that's in Stevens and Beckwith.
Now, do you have family? Are you married?
When I was 9 in 4th grade, my father passed away. I don't
sorry
want
to
it's a
hear
little
that.
intense. I don't want to get into it
Well,
too
you don't
much.
have to get into that. I just
But,
just routine stuff.
But
so the TV
my
audience know a little bit about you.
I'm getting there, and then I went to Washington Middle School, and I can't remember how old I was when my stepdad met my mom, but my mom was always super cool about the people
Yeah.
like fellas around, and like that I'd have to like him too, but I always did. And then Greg Ritter is my stepdad, who's awesome.
Good.
He's excellent. He's a carpenter. He skis.
Well, he's gonna hear about that since you're talking about it on
And
TV.
yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna say, so he bought ski Discovery, and there was one year that if you kept buying the pass every year, you didn't have to pay
Yeah.
more, anyways. And then my
Right.
mom and him live over by sort of like 14th and Johnson, and then
Right.
we have our family house we grew up in, and then we built a duplex behind there, which is handicap accessible,
Oh,
which it
that's
happens
good.
to be the best thing to build if you're trying to get renters or whatever.
Yeah.
And I helped him build that, and then my brother, he's got his master's degree in math, and he lives in the old house we grew up in.
Okay.
And then I stayed with them at the house over by 14th, and then my oldest brother. Okay, so. I just want to say this. His name is Johan. His name is Dr. Johan the Mammoth Walker. He didn't have a middle name, so I made it the Mammoth.
Okay.
He works for Ducks Unlimited, okay? He was a regional biologist for North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana. And last week I just found out he got the regional plane job, which is 8 states.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100 people enter them, $25 million budget a year to do all their wildlife conservation for ducks.
And what kind of
Exciting.
hobbies do you?
Me, I'm a slacker, and I'm a carpenter, and I do miscellaneous, and
good.
also I'm an actor, and I rap, and I do various forms of healing. I do Reiki, cranial, sacral,
Okay.
and like
So
just
what are
different
your-
things, readings and stuff. And
What do you have any future plans right now? Any goals?
yeah, right now I'm working on doing some videos for some stuff, and starting to get paid through YouTube, so I can get my build enough popularity so that I can then tour / skateboard /
Well, now that
help people.
now that you're talking about that, when people see you on TV and whatever, on the computer and everything through this show, it may open some doors for you.
Yeah, that
So
sounds good.
I don't want to get like into the personal deep
Yeah.
stuff. I just wanted a general broad.
Yeah,
That's it. And then
So
I'm
that
from
the-
here,
the
and then I
TV,
stay
you
here,
know.
and then carpentry. There's not as much in the winter, so it's
Yeah.
it's kind
I
of a struggle
understand
like
that
anybody
being a
else. The
pianist,
economy's
yeah.
kind of rough, but
Mhm.
but I come up with a new way to tie your shoes. It's super awesome, and I want to tweet it to Ellen and see if she'll retweet it because it makes it easier for little kids.
Well,
to,
maybe
it's
Ellen
called
will
the
see-
elephant.
Yeah, maybe she'll see.
I need to
on
make
the
a
show, too.
short video.
Yeah.
You know, you can take the link to this show when we're done and send it to her too. Maybe she'll see you on that.
I love this. I love it that when this broadcasts after the tape, like that
It'll be on
if
the
you're watching it
computer,
on TV, you can also watch it on the internet, which means anybody can watch it anywhere.
It'll be loaded about an hour from now, from the time we finish. You'll see this on YouTube. This whole
When does
episode.
it? You're on top of it then, Asaph.
Yeah.
Way
And
to,
you're
way to
going to
go.
get a DVD version of this, what we're doing right now, at the end of this broadcast here. You're going to get a DVD version.
Cool beans.
Have some soda.
How old are you, by the way?
33.
I'm 52.
You look very young for 33.
I didn't have to shave till I was 18.
Wow. Thank you for that info there.
That was
I'm
the first time I
52.
actually shaved for real, period. Not even at all.
You know,
18.
30 minutes have gone by already. See, when we
Wow,
do the,
really?
see how fast this goes by very quickly.
Holy Molson.
That's it. Well, okay, but anyway, I just wanted to ask you a few questions. Now let's get back on our topic there. Oh, and before we start, let's play a quick Name That Tune.
Yep.
Are you familiar with Name That Tune?
I am, but like I'm not gonna shout it out. Like until raise your hand when you know it.
Yeah,
And
well,
that way,
well, we
that
don't
way
have to raise
everybody
hands,
gets a
just-
chance
Yeah,
to
we
think.
don't
Well,
have-
how we're going to do it here on this
Okay,
version
sorry,
here.
sorry.
When I play a song, the first one to mention the name of the song gets a point.
Nice. I like that. I'm down.
And
comp.
if you don't name the song by the time I stop, nobody gets a point. And I don't necessarily start at the beginning of a song either.
Oh, right on.
So we'll just have some fun here.
Please.
But before we start the game, let me do a little bit of this here. Tell me if you recognize it. This isn't the game. I'm just gonna play it. You recognize
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because.
No, this isn't part of the game.
I can play it on the guitar. It's the only thing I can play on the guitar.
Inspector Gadget.
That's not
No,
Inspector
it was
Gadget.
James Bond.
This is a James Bond thing.
He
Oh,
started
you're close.
it. The first one was.
It's the same song.
Yep. Come on. This is tomorrow.
Wait, you've played it at the mall, haven't you?
Yes, I did.
And you've played it on
Secret
the show
Agent
before.
is what it's called.
Yeah.
You gotta
Oh, yeah.
name the actual one. I know it's from the movie.
I didn't like Secret
It's
Agent
one,
Man
of the, it's
either.
one of the two things I can play that part right there on the guitar, and then I can play Louie Louie like da da da.
Well, you know
the only
who
thing
the
two tunes I can
guitarist
play.
that made that song famous, Johnny Rivers. You may know him.
Hmm.
He's the guy that introduced that song back in 1966 when they first did. It was called Secret Agent Man was the name of the song. It became a #1 hit. They put it on a television show called Danger Man, which was a spy show, a black and white spy show
wow.
of the 60s.
Cool.
This is before Roger Moore and
Before-
all this
wow.
other stuff. And they had an actor named Patrick McEwen. He was the secret agent.
Right on.
Based on that song, it was a black and white television
That's awesome.
spy series, way before the Bond movies came out and all of that. And so it
Random
wasn't
comment.
as-
I just got to say Roy Orbison.
It wasn't as
Roy
technical,
Orbison's
obviously, 'cause they
the
didn't
man.
have, you know-
I just wanted to say that. I don't know
Say that
why.
again?
I just had to say it. Roy Orbison.
Oh, Roy
is the
Orbison,
man.
yes, I
Yeah.
remember him.
I just wanted to say that. I don't know
But
why.
talking about him for a second, you know how they say Elvis is the king?
Sure.
I hated Elvis
I'm not
Presley.
here to dog on that. That's an individual thing.
Sure.
But me personally, I think Roy Orbison was the best singer of the past.
I
in
kind of
history,
feel like they bounced
in my
off each other,
personal
making each other
opinion.
famous.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they do, but that's just a thought.
I don't know.
But anyway, getting back to the Secret Agent Man.
I'm just bringing you a little soda, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
You bet, man.
I hated Elvis. I hated the Beach Boys. I wasn't a fan of the Beatles, except
You
for
hate
Beatles.
everybody.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were playing the tune game, though. At least you
Yeah,
play
we
a
are.
couple
We
tunes.
are.
Well, I
just
wanted to make comments
I just
about
wanted
it.
to finish that comment there,
Okay.
but no. That's called Secret Agent Man. Johnny Rivers made it famous. They put it on a show called Danger Man, based on the song. Patrick McEwen was the actor that played the spy in the black and white series called Danger Man. They probably have it on YouTube, I would imagine. It goes way, way back, and he was a very popular actor in his time.
What was the artist of Secret Agent Man again?
Johnny Rivers.
Johnny Rivers, and then it went to Danger Man.
Danger Man was the name of the television show.
Right.
And Patrick McGowan was the actor that played in the Danger Man series. But I don't even think anybody will even remember that.
Patrick what?
McGowan.
P-A-T.
You know, I think one thing about these
I don't
older...
know. I think it's spelled M-C-G-O-O-H-A-N or something like that. McGowan, I think is how it's spelled.
That's a cool name. I like the way it sounds.
Anyway,
my full name is Solomon Marcel Burley Flotten. It's a mouthful. 9 syllables.
But anyway, he was the actor that played, and I don't think anybody remember that series because it goes so far
I never
back.
even heard of it, Asaph.
It was a television show. It was a very popular television show. And they had other television shows in the past which you've never heard of, like 77 Sunset Strip.
There you go, buddy.
And 77 Sunset Strip. And then they had, what is that? Surfside.
I used to listen to a lot of old radio.
Yeah, they had prior to television, because television came out in the early 50s,
Sure.
And prior to that, they had radio broadcasts like Fibber, McGee, and Molly. They had the Green Hornet.
Green Hornet, I watched that. I listened to that.
But I'm
Green
talking
Hornet's
about the
pretty.
radio version.
Oh no, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
The Shadow Nose.
I liked that. I liked the Shadow.
These were all radio broadcasts before television.
The Shadow was a little more
Have you
serious.
ever-
I like
you
the Shadow.
Ever listen to Near Wolf at all?
Never heard of
No,
it.
Written by
don't
Rex
know
Stout. It's a detective deal.
Okay.
But I didn't realize Sherlock Holmes was a real person until a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah, but they've had a lot of actors play Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes.
Sure, I understand that, but
And one of the
you know.
first actors to ever play Sherlock Holmes, this might interest you, Emmett, too. The actor that plays Alfred in the Batman series, when he was a young man, he was the first Sherlock Holmes in the
Really?
movies. The
What's his
very
name?
First, let's see if I can remember his name. I don't have my notes on me.
You mean Alfred? So Alfred is
Alfred
the
the
butler
butler.
in like the original Batman
in
that
the
was.
Batman series, yeah.
Which was the-
Alan Napier, I think is his
Oh
name.
wow!
He was the
You're
first-
sharp, Asaph.
Well, I do documentary stories. Too.
Gotcha.
He was the first Sherlock Holmes in the television
Wow.
way back when he was a young man.
Before Basil Rathbone.
Probably.
He was the one that did the 39 series of black
No,
and white.
this is before those black and white
Right.
series. I think Alan Napier was the first
radio deal, maybe, huh?
Well, we're talking about in film.
Oh, film. Okay.
Well, you see, you know, when you see him on Batman, he's tall and he's older. But when he was a young man, he was Sherlock Holmes.
He's very aplomb in.
Yeah,
in the
he's
Batman.
very tall and lanky, and of course, when he was younger, he was thinner and so on, and not like he was as Alfred, which he was relatively still thin. But my point is, he was the first Sherlock Holmes in film. The
Interesting.
very first, Alan Napier. He was the very first Sherlock Holmes, and of course, those films weren't very good back in that time period because it was so far back, but it was good for its time.
I'm trying to remember what I used to listen to back on the radio. there.
But getting back to the radio broadcast, yeah, they had all those Fibber McGee and all the rest of it. They were all, and George Burns and Gracie Allen, they were all radio broadcasts. Milton Berle, Sid Caesar. And then when television came out, the controversy was that, see, they had a lot of movie stars like Clark Gable and all these people that people paid money to go to the movies to see their favorite movie star. But when television first came out in the early 50s, they didn't have to pay to see their favorite star because
right.
they can watch it at home.
Sure.
So that was the controversy because the movie executives were telling people that television was going to be a flash in the pan, and they were warning their their main leading actors not to go into television because it would destroy their career.
Oh wow!
But they were thinking money, see, and that's the way it was in that time period. But there were a few that had the foresight to jump on the bandwagon in early television. Milton Berle was one of them. Liberace was another one that jumped on that bandwagon. And Loretta Young. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
I've heard that name, but I don't
remember.
remember.
Loretta Young show. It's like these real clean, wholesome black and white television shows, you know, that dealt with life and stuff. But she
Yeah.
was a famous movie star before television came out. And so her movie studio was so not in support. They were not in support of her going into television, so she and her husband used their own finances to create that show at early television. And of course it worked because early television reached more American families and got their name plastered all over the country more than
Sorry,
than-
Emmett.
Oh, I'll see about that. See.
Sorry,
But
Emmett.
let me
Sorry,
finish
buddy.
that. But
I don't-
anyway, this is interesting because Everybody, you know, the executives freaked out on television when television first came into existence. But the ones who jumped on the bandwagon wound up being more famous.
I bet.
Way more famous than the movies.
Wildfire. One of my old girlfriend's dads, I guess, the first thing that he watched on television was a boxing match between it was a white gentleman, a Caucasian gentleman, and an African American person.
Was it the not Jackie Robinson?
You probably know the event, but you know it's just a little bit of irony. And I thought that was a wonderful statistic.
If it's the fighter you're talking about, Joe Louis. Are you talking about the Joe Louis?
Probably it was the first time that TV was available.
It was Max Schmeling, the guy from Germany, that came to the United States, and he.
What's his name? Max what?
Schmeling. I don't know how to spell that. But
Well,
he was from Germany. He was from Germany,
right.
And this is, I think, before the start of World War II, when the Nazis thought that nobody could beat their fighters, and Joe Louis was an African American from the U.S., and he wins that.
Did he win? Nice.
The champion, yeah.
I'm glad that the American won then. During that time.
It's just like the 1936 Olympics. Hitler thought that nobody would be able to beat the Nazis, and an African American named Jesse Owens goes and wins the 1936 Olympics. And
how many golds did he get?
He got the gold medal that year.
Check this out. Okay, so World War I ended on the 11th year of the 11th month of the 11th day of the 11th hour. So I think there's significance in 11s, because I always see them for peace, because like I'm all about peace. I don't know.
Well, that I don't know about, but that was just a bit of history. Well,
Thank you.
Let's do this game real quick, and then we'll get back to our topic.
Well, there's something else I want to say about the television that I was thinking about shows like Inspector Gadget, the cheesy Batman of the 60s. You see, back when television came out, the censors were real strict.
Yeah, they did.
And
have strict
so,
censorship laws.
They probably thought, we have got to make television tame, silly, and as lame-o as we can. We can't have any serious shows. We can't have violence. We can't have too many lasers. The censors might be appalled by it, and it might scare little kids to have a laser war going, do-do-do. We have to make it silly, and personally, I think television has gone the other way, and has gone too awful as far as they'll let anything go.
Well, yeah,
now,
I agree with you there, but
but I think the censorship.
Well, it's not good either.
Yeah,
it was brand new when it first came
there
out.
should
so
be a
they had
happy
to have
medium.
censors. And speaking of censorship laws, give you an idea. If you watch like the Dick Van Dyke Show or I Love Lucy, you notice they don't sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
It was bunk beds. There was a reason for that, because it took
that
away,
made sense. Yeah,
it took away from the sexuality so that people could focus on the comedy.
There you go.
That's
and
fine.
The censorship stuff,
but there just should be, somewhere a middle of the road, like the 80s.
Too.
It was,
the 80s where television was excellent. The 80s cartoons and 70s cartoons were wonderful, and like in the old censorship laws, we could not have wonderful shows like Law and Order SVU.
Well, no, not back in that time period, because everything was new, and you can't just create something brand new and then bombard the world with stuff. They have to feel their way.
I would have said, this is shocking. This is television. My name is Emmett. I have invented television. I'm going to shock everyone with this.
They would have had it all shut off, and the whole world would not be able to enjoy TV the way we enjoy it today, leading up to the movies and all of that, too. If you'd have done
Orson
it
Welles.
in that time period.
They were really worried. The whole
Orson Welles got
I
into
remember
a
that.
lot
Yeah,
of
he
trouble
did.
Did he?
doing that. Oh, he got.
Yeah, he did.
Did he have to go to jail?
Not jail, but
fined?
he got in
huh?
trouble with television. He got in trouble with the government.
So he really pushed it.
Yeah.
Well, people believed it. Like everybody was worried, like it was really happening.
Yeah, but when it turned out that it was just a Hollywood stunt, he paid an awful price as a young man.
Well, he should.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's a pretty mean thing to do. I think to put
Yeah,
it
is. It is. I thought it was horrible.
People thought that they were going to be
killed by aliens.
Yeah, that the
from
world
Mars.
was over.
You know, he's lucky it didn't damage his career forever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would have to make it.
a long time to recover
I
from
believe
that
it.
in Hollywood.
Plus, people when you'd see him, you'd be like, dude, you are
a nut, you know?
Right? Yeah, you're a jerk, sir.
Yeah,
I can't believe you would do that to everybody. I mean,
well, he made a comeback. He did some wonderful things with his career.
Well, he was brilliant, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But as a young man, that's just a stunt that they should not have pulled in
I
Hollywood.
agree. And I saw the movie based on
Tawdry.
that. Yeah.
It's Tawdry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, with the censorship laws at that time period, they took it more serious and stuff
Oh, sure.
like that, you know.
Well, they should have, because a lot of people had never read War of the Worlds, but I was always confused. They always had a disclaimer that this fake newscast is based on War of the World by H.G.
But there
Wells.
was no disclaimer when Orson Welles did that.
I thought there was. I thought there was a disclaimer
No.
before every broadcast.
No, not when he first did that.
Oh, because I thought that was the idea. I thought the idea, because I saw the movie based on it, it was had a disclaimer at first, but a lot of people tuned in late and thought.
The movie will have that disclaimer for the sake of the people watching the film.
Well, I mean, in the 1930s broadcast, there was always a radio disclaimer at first, you know, saying this is a broadcast based on H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. It's not real. Then they would say breaking news about the Martian invasion.
Well, they didn't do that all the time in that time period. You got to remember that was a different time period. So when Orson Welles did that, that was a Hollywood thing that just.
Well, then people, especially if they had not read War of the Worlds, would have
Probably
thought
not in
this
that
is
time
real.
period,
That's why they thought this is real.
Yeah.
These things, and if they saw like a plane in the sky, they would get a gun and say, "We're gonna kill these aliens. It's the end." Some people would even kill themselves and their families, thinking, "This is the end. We're dead." I mean, it was horrible.
And so that was just a bad thing for them to do back then.
Yeah, it was.
But he recovered.
Yeah, that's
he
good.
Recovered, and he went on to do some great things.
I saw the movie based on the It was a documentary movie.
The movie's going to take some artistic license to tell the story because they got to get the viewers tuned in and watch.
Well, it wasn't a fiction. It was a documentary based on the events that happened.
Based
you know.
on it. And so that's why they take artistic license if it's something based on it here. Okay, let's do this game real quick here, and then we'll get back because we're almost out of time. So, all right, let's see. The first one to guess it. Ready?
Jeopardy.
You got it. That's the thing with Jeopardy. I just thought I would do that just to try to.
So, Emmett, like, if I get it right away, I'll raise my hand. And then,
What's that?
I'm just saying, if I get it right away, I'll raise my hand so you could think for a minute.
And
then if I'm right,
It doesn't matter.
but if I'm
It doesn't-
wrong and you say it, then he gets the point. I think that's how we should do it.
You know.
Well, okay, you got one. Well,
Fair
someone's
enough.
just the first one to get 2 points. That's all. It's not a.
All right,
not
okay,
a
keep going,
serious
keep going.
thing.
Keep
It's
going.
not a serious thing. This is
I know
not
I'm
a
such a
serious
stickler
show.
about rules and stuff. I
I'm not.
like to be a stats.
Just name the song.
I play disc golf and I'm like,
'Cause
mark the disc.
I may start in the middle of a song too. See.
Do it up, do it
You
up,
know,
do it up. Sorry.
I'm used to
1-0, buddy.
I'm used to be an anarchist, you know, a punk rock, and so I don't care about rules, except for being a Catholic. Then I'm a stickler for the rules. Otherwise, you know.
Sure, sure.
The Sound of Silence.
Good. You got it.
I did not know
Yay.
that one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's called The Sound of Silence.
All right.
Garfunkel.
A friend of mine was giving me a ride home from church in the store, and he was playing that. The band Disturbed did a cover of that song, and he told me about the song, what it meant in the '60s, and
Emmett.
Right. This is The Sound of Silence.
We're all tied up, buddy.
Yep.
Here we
1-1.
go.
So I got to make this.
Make it hard, make it hard.
Yeah, I will.
Abstract.
Let's see. Okay, I think I got it here.
it's a television show, but I can't remember what. You've played it before. Wasn't it a cop show of some kind that I've forgotten the name
Tell
of?
me.
Because I don't care for cop shows except Law and Order SVU, you know.
I'm gonna stop right there.
We both didn't get that
This
one.
is before Law and Order. That
Yeah.
was Hill Street Blues.
That's it.
That's the name.
Man, that
You
was a tough
recognize
one. I had never heard that one before.
it? It was one of the most.
I remember
popular cop
Dragnet.
shows.
Brr, brr, brr.
First, it was Dragnet. That
Three.
was very
That's just
popular.
3 black keys,
Yeah,
isn't it? Asaph knows him. Asaph knows him.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
But and then after that, after Dragnet was a series of other police shows, and eventually Hill Street Blues came out, and that was tame compared to Law and
Do you
Order.
remember the 3 keys right before? It was like right before they started a scene. It was like brr, brr, brr.
Yeah,
What are the?
it was-
Which one's that? I think it's just black keys. I can't remember though.
Yeah, it was just something like this.
Just dun, dun. Nice, nice, nice,
You know,
nice.
something like that.
Normally, I don't care for cop shows. Law and Order SVU is the only cop show I've really liked.
And then we got, okay, you guys have a point each, so I'm trying to think of a...
Tiebreaker.
Okay,
It's for the gold. It's for the gold.
let me do it again.
Okay.
Michael Jackson's Beat It.
I
started in the middle of that there.
Emmett takes it.
All right, Emmett wins it. Yay.
Magnanimous.
Yep.
1, Emmett 2. Oh, golly.
Guys, we
good
got
job.
less-
Good job.
We got, this went by very quickly. We got
Yep.
less than 10 minutes.
Oh, dang.
So we're almost out of time. But anyway, I think you'll like Inspector Gadget if you see it. You should just.
I have
see
these written down. 2 movies to see right here: Skyfall and Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I think it's called Skyfall.
I'm pretty sure it is. It's easy to figure
It's
it
an
out.
older Bond, and I think you'll like it. He's like slower, doesn't fight as fast as he did when he was young, and that's what gives it credibility. That this older Bond can take on these young guys with their gadgetry and their computer stuff that they didn't have in Bond's time when he was young. So that's basically what this series is about, and you might like it. They use some of the same music of the movies, but it's high tech. It's really high tech. And you remember Moneypenny?
Never heard of it.
Of course, Moneypenny is it's
she
from
gets
James
killed.
Bond. Moneypenny
Yeah,
is
she gets killed.
Q's
Yeah, she was
secretary.
always like the smart lady, but she gets killed in this Skyfall series.
that's sad.
there. Well, because she's physically older too, so all the people that Bond worked with in the series, they were all physically older and physically slower.
Yeah.
And that's what gave it some credibility, if that makes any sense, you know?
Yeah.
To have an
Yeah.
older, and also Bond's organization in the series
Yeah.
was considered outdated in the Skyfall series because of the computer technology and stuff. So that made it harder for them to fight bad guys. Just you know, food for thought. It
Right on.
gave it a credibility there because
That's interesting.
yeah, it gave it a credibility because they were physically older and their gadgetry was outdated compared to the younger guys, you know, that
Right,
was
right.
into stuff.
Oh, if I may make an observation, I've been dying to make this observation. I've been so upset about it. There was one Batman type movie that was out last year that was serious, no campiness, but I hated it. A friend of mine went
What's
to the
campiness mean?
Campiness.
Just silly.
Okay,
Fun,
okay,
you know.
okay.
It was called Joker. The Joker.
I've not
It
seen
was
it.
the most stupid, most ridiculous, most boring, drawn-out movie I have ever seen. It was one of the worst. It made the top 13 of all worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It was about the
Top 13. It would be 13.
Yeah, it would be. It was about the origins of the Joker. How did the Joker from Batman become so evil? Well, if you know the original Joker, he was a villain, a super villain, and he also a gangster, like with the Mafia, at least in the 1989 movie.
Okay.
This one, he was mentally ill and had traumatic brain injuries because of people that attacked him. And he had certain mental disorders, and then he was off his medications because of cuts in mental health funding in Gotham City.
Well, you gotta
He
remember,
lived with
yeah,
his
they're
mother.
making it more dated for.
But it was
time.
just
I
stupid.
will say this along the same lines of the way that you might like just criticize. I would say that all I know is that Heath Ledger, after he did Joker, it was like I'd put the mic down because it was so brilliant, so so amazing, like unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and he did it just that it's like I don't know why you would make another. Why would you make another one? I'm sure Jack Nicklaus would be like, you know, I didn't mind. That was that time, and like
Right.
no need to continue it. That's enough for who knows how long.
You know, but as time goes by, as all of us get older, some young producer somewhere coming up will think of a better.
I don't think it was a better Joker. I thought it was a worse Joker. It was, you know, he had troubles with his mother. There was that mother complex that Freud always talks about. Then a clown revolt. Then he becomes psychotic and becomes the Joker villain.
That plot line.
It was so bad.
But it fits our modern time, though.
Well, then you know what the Academy Award? Did you watch the Academy Awards this
No, I
year?
I didn't see it.
Well, the Joker movie was nominated for 22 Oscars, including Best Picture, and it won 2 Oscars for Best Actor and Best not cinematography, but Best Musical Score, and it shouldn't have even been anywhere near the Academy Awards. It's just horrible.
I'm not surprised that that movie
Did you see it?
No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
Well, that's
at all.
one we should watch.
Oh, I'm never gonna watch that movie again. If you paid me a few $1,000s, then I'll watch it again.
I didn't see it. That's what I was saying along Emmett's criticism, and granted, he's welcome to his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He was just saying he didn't like Inspector Gadget without seeing it.
Yeah,
That's why I said what I said about the Joker movie, because I have not seen it. I was just saying that he thought it legitimate. You know, that was my point. I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying.
I know. I do think you will like Inspector Gadget when you see it.
If you were to pay me a few $1,000s to about $10,000 or $20,000 tax-free to see the Joker movie again, I will sit through it again with a couple of beers to get through it.
Okay.
And then you'll pay me $20,000.
That's a lot. That's that bad. Come on, Emmett.
It's that bad.
It couldn't be that bad.
It's that bad. Ugh.
Well, Emmett's tastes are different than most people, you know, as far as his interpretations of science fiction and everything. And it can't always be, we talked about this before, it can't always just be outer space. It has to be other
Well,
things
it wasn't that, you know, because even the old Batman movies in the 80s, 89 to the others, they weren't in outer space, but I loved them. But this one was just a psychological drama that completely ruined the character of the Joker, that didn't make any sense, and a lot of it was boring. There was violence, but a lot of it was just so boring, and it didn't fit with the character of the Joker, and they ruined it, and it was boring, and I wasn't believing any of it.
Right.
So my friend and I we almost walked out of the theater. We compared notes, you know, once we got home or once we were in the car. It's like we both hated that movie so bad. It was just awful. But you know,
Can't win them all, Emmett. I reckon.
Nope.
Okay, well, on that note, guys, we're out of time. This went by very, very quickly.
It would be interesting if I brought in my top 13 movies of all time that I hate and the top 10s that I love. I have that somewhere at home.
No, it's 13 that you hate and the top 10 that you like. Come on, don't switch it up. You just said it a minute ago.
Well, maybe we'll do a show where you can talk about your top 10. I'll talk about my top 10 and see.
Yeah, the movies that we hate. Yeah, one of them that is in the top 10 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. One of the top 10 that I hate of all time. The top 10 movies.
Why would you hate Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I know
because it's not science
It's not that
fiction,
funny.
you know?
Well, it's not even that. It was a comedy. You know, I loved National Lampoon's Vacation. And you know, that wasn't a science fiction.
I know what you're doing.
I just wrote a thing for you. It just says Asaph rules.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
But anyway,
because we're gonna sign off.
the reason I did not like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I saw it
Ferris,
is
because you can't
Ferris
say
Bueller's. I can't even pronounce it.
That's why you don't like it.
Not even that. But the reason I hated it is because, you know, if you're sick, you should stay home from school.
That is one good point.
Yeah, but what kid is gonna say he's sick and his parents leave the house and they're gonna stay in bed? They're gonna have a party in the house. I did that when I was in high school.
I never did.
They are
sick.
portraying not going to school, which isn't the best thing.
Well, that wasn't
I never
it.
thought about it like that.
That wasn't it. It was about faking your sickness and then having a good time, and a lot of kids were punished. But a lot of kids were punished and thought they had to go to school. I didn't, because I was very deathly ill, and my parents always took me to the doctor, and I had strep throats or flus. But it can make heck for a lot of other kids who are genuinely sick, and they think they're just playing hooky.
Yeah,
and
but
thought it was
when I was
bad.
in high school, I did something like that.
I never
My
did.
mom left me in charge of the house
Well,
one
Emmett,
day. And
it's a movie. Come on.
But it wasn't funny for me. The premise was not funny. Kind of like Home Alone. That didn't make my 10 worst films, but I didn't like the premise of a little kid home alone and having to defend, you know, the home from burglars.
I loved Home Alone so much.
That kid was a brilliant
Macaulay Culkin.
kid that knew how to outsmart the bad guy.
Right,
It was funny.
talk about gadgets.
The gadgets that he set up in there to
At
catch
the same
those.
time, you know, leaving a kid home alone and not even
They didn't leave him home alone. It
was an accident.
Yeah, I know it was an
You
accident.
just
but
don't like does it have some sort of
well, it's just a disturbing concept. Accident leaving a kid home. I just didn't think it was funny. Like,
Oh, I have to disagree
Well,
with
if
that.
you can get past the fact that he is home, you know, like then
I
he's going
couldn't,
from
you
there.
know.
The kid saves his family from.
and how can a little kid save?
The sequel's good too.
Because
which
he's
is
a smart little kid with a great imagination.
Richie Rich, the catapult.
Yeah. So maybe on the next show, when we do another show, we can cover that.
I hated Richie
All right,
Rich.
guys, we got to sign out.
Because I hated the cartoon.
We'll just hold that thought.
Asaph rules. Emmett 1, Magnanimous 0.
Anyway, thanks, Solomon, for being part of this. And
You bet. Cheers.
anytime you want to do another show, you're more than welcome.
Cool, I'll be back in the office. I need to take a lunch break now. And then I'll be back in the office to do stuff. And I have something like 60 episodes of live TV that I've made.
Good for you.
I just need to learn how to make do some video editing and music video stuff in Final Cut.
Right.
Slash, don't lose my corn husks here.
Yeah.
Because it's shucks, I'd have to say then, huh? That'd be appropriate for the show. I'm glad that I found that comic in my that was apropos.
Too, yeah.
Well, here, will you leave it? Will you leave it just on the? Oh, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, man. That was wonderfully fun.
And I'll sign out.
All right.
Our aging rocker Emmett here, and
turn me back where you can see me. Back in the control room. Turn me back where you can. There, thank you.
all right, and so saying goodbye to everyone. I am Asaph, and until our next show, Maranatha.